All right, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I just kind of showed you how to do your grade book. I'll make a video on that later and attach it to the Classroom of Google. Kind of like how I showed you how to check into your email. There's a video on the Classroom of Google. You should be checking both of them frequently. And I'll put a video on there so you guys will be able to see. You can check what you're missing and that kind of thing. You should have out the work we started yesterday. And on the work we started yesterday, you looked it up on Google Classroom, and it said, I think it said Divisibility Rules and Estimation. So I want to go over some of this stuff with you. I'm going to go over some of this stuff with you. So just be chill. So we're going to go through this just like we did yesterday and the day before. If you want to jot notes on the paper that had the divisibility rules on it, this paper, if you want to jot notes next to this, if some way I explain it makes more sense than what this says, that's probably a pretty good idea. So as we're going through it, if I explain it in a way that makes it easier, then on the paper like this paper that looks like this, I want you to write some notes on it. So if this paper, like this right here, if I explain it differently, then just jot some notes on it so that you have those notes to reflect back on throughout the year, because they should be glued in your journal. Does that make sense? Good, thank you. All right, so we're going to start, like I told you before, we're going to start with the 2s, the 5s, and the 10s. The 2s, the 5s, and the 10s. Let me put a Band-Aid on my son here. Because if you put a Band-Aid on, it doesn't hurt anymore. All right, let me see.
Is that a Band-Aid?
Yes, it's a Band-Aid. Give me your finger. Hurry up, I got work to do. All right, I'm back. So we're going to start with the 2s. The rule for 2 is if the 1's place is a 0, a 2, a 4, a 6, or an 8. So if you want to write that down next to the rule on your notes that you have glued in your journal, the 1's place needs to be a 0, a 2, a 4, a 6, or an 8. You should have this chart written on your paper. Now, the chart that you have written on your paper just says checks. You're putting a check in the box. I didn't write mine that way, so I'll be circling them. And if I circle it, then that's where you'd put a check on it. Okay, does that make pennies? Awesome sauce. So, we're going to start with 45. We're going to go through all of our 2s. Does 45 have one of these in its 1's place? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down. Does 37 have one of those in this 1's place? Thumbs down. Does 18 have one of those in their 1's place? Yes, thumbs up. So you should have a check in that box. What about 51? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down. It does not have a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8 in the 1's place, so it is not divisible by 2. 54, thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up. Awesome. So you should have a check in the box for 2 on 54. 309, thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down. 212, thumbs up. So in the column for 2, you should have three checks on these 3 numbers. And I'll post this on the Classroom of Google so you'll be able to watch it. All right, so now we'll do the 5s. And if you want to write this, if this makes more sense, if the 1's place is a 0 or a 5. If the ones place is a 0 or a 5, that number is divisible by 2. Or by 5. That number is divisible by 5 if it has a 0 or a 5 in the ones place, which means it will divide into that number without a remainder, and it means something times 5 will equal that number. Okay, so let's look at 45. Is 45 divisible by 5? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Good. It is divisible by 5. You should have a check in the 5 box. 37, thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down. 18, thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs down. 51, thumbs up or thumbs down? Down. 54, thumbs up or thumbs down? 309, thumbs up or thumbs down? Down. 212, thumbs up or thumbs down? Good. So the only check you should have in the 5 column is for 45. If you want to write this down next to your notes, which is on this paper, should be glued in your journal, looks like this. If you want to write that down, the rule for 5, if this is easier to understand, if it's more simple, if it's simplest, then write that down. If I erase it before you have a chance to write it down, I'll put this video on the Classroom of Google. All right, the next easy one I like to do is the tens. The tens, the ones place is a 0. So if the ones place is a 0, that number is divisible by 10. Or 10 times something equals that number. And we're only talking whole numbers here. We're not talking decimals, we're not talking fractions. So if it has a 0 in the ones place, 10 will divide into it without a remainder. Or 10 times something will equal that number. Only discussing whole numbers. Okay, so I look through my list of numbers, these numbers, and I do not see any zeros in the ones place. So you should not have any checks in the ones place. No checks at all in the ones place. 0 checks, no checks in the ones, or in the tens, sorry. No checks in the tens column. None. Zip, zilch, 0, nada. Oh. All right. And let's see. Now I have 3 left. I have the 3s, the 6s, and the 9s. I can't really do the 6s until I know the 3s. So I'm going to start with the 3s. Again, if I write something down and it's easier for you to understand, put it on your notes on this here paper like this. On this here paper like this. Now the rule for 3. The sum of the digits is divisible by 3. Or 3 times something equals that number. Three times something will equal that number. So if you want to write that down, that'd be a good thing to do. Writing that down. If you don't have that paper, I'll get it to you when I get back. There's a possibility it could be in a stack of papers on my desk, but. All right, so the first thing I do if I have a chart like this, to determine if a number is divisible by 3, I'm just going to add the digits together. And all that means is you take every individual number, every individual place value, and you add them together. So, 4 plus 5 equals 9. Okay, I'm just adding each place value. I'm adding the number in the 4 plus the number in the 5, or the number in the 10s plus the number in the 1s. It's 37. 3 plus 7 is 10. 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. 51. 5 plus 1 is 6. 54. 5 plus 4 is 9. 309. 3 plus 0 plus 9 is 12. And 212. 2 plus 1 plus 2 is 5. So that is the sum of the digits. That is, I've added each individual digit in the number up, and this was the sum of those numbers. Then I just have to look. Does 3 go into 9? Or does 3 times something equal 9? Yes, it does, because 3 times 3 equals 9. So this is divisible by 3. Does 3 times something equal 10? No. Does 3 times something equal 9? Yes. 3 times 3 equals 9. Does 3 times something equal 6? Yes. 3 times 2 equals 6. Does 3 times something equal 9? Yes. Does 3 times something equal 12? Yes. It's 3 times 4. And does 3 times something equal 5? No. And remember, anytime you're doing this, and it's just during my class, not during a test that the state gives us that I think is really stupid for them to do it. Are you listening, Governor Abbott? Are you listening, TEA? Now, I'd probably get fired if they are listening. But you can use your journal. You can use your multiplication chart. You can use these notes that you're glued in your journal, that you're writing on, to see if this is easier for you to understand than the way it's written on that paper. And again, if you don't have it all written down, that's fine, because we're going to do it again. I'll put it on the classroom of Google, I'll put it on the tube of you, and you'll be able to watch it. Oh, I messed up. I didn't mean to erase that. That is 6. That number is 51, 54, 309. And 212. That's 9. That's 12. And that's 5. All right. So right now, your 2 columns should have those checks in them. Your 3 column should have those checks in them. Your 5 column should have that check in it. Now, the rule for 6, and it says it a little complicated on that paper, but the rule for 6, it has to be divisible by both 2 and 3. Which makes it real easy, because then I just have to go through this part of my chart, and if the 2 and the 3 are circled, then I circle the 6, or I put a check in the 6. Okay? No, no, yes. No, yes. No, no. So your 3 column, or your 6 column should look like that. You should have checks for those boxes. And if this is easier to understand than what they wrote down, then write it on that paper where you have the notes. If I'm moving too fast, where you can't write it on that paper where you have the notes, that's fine. Just relax, and you'll have access to this video. Now the rule for 9. The rule for 9. The sum of the digits, just like 3, is divisible by 9. That means 9 times something will equal that number. And again, we're only talking about whole numbers. We're not throwing decimals in here. We're not throwing fractions in here. We're only talking whole numbers. Okay? So, does 9 times something equal 9? Yes, 9 times 1. So this is divisible by 9. Does 9 times something equal 10? No. So this is not divisible by 9. Does 9 times something equal 9? Yes. 9 times 1. So this is divisible by 9. No. Yes. No. No. So your 9 column should look like this. Make sure your 9 column looks like this. If it doesn't look like this, make it look like this. And this is what your paper should look like for this part of the assignment. We'll go and we'll do the estimation or some of the estimation here in a moment. And I'll actually show you estimation, then we'll look at the real product of those. Okay, so if you have questions, come back and watch this video again.